What's up? This is your boy Morris, and you are vinyl shopping with me here at, what is this? Seventh fucking Heaven, Vinyl Underground. I got $75 to spend, and I blew it all on vinyl. Joke's on you, though, because I don't even own a record player, bitch. All right, yo. So I'm gonna go into some of these records. Kind of type of cat that I am, I work sort of in series. So these first three all kind of work together. One of my very, 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 very favorite duos, singles individually, they're great. I bring you Randy Newman, one of my favorite songwriters. He's obviously from LA. This one has I Love LA on it, which is a classic. If you need some more backstory on this particular artist, he's been out since the 60s or 70s. One of the most revelatory songwriters to come out of the era. He worked with Van Dyke Parks from Beach Boys to create some of his most famous work, including Nielsen sings Newman. I'm a huge, huge fan of Harry Nilsson, so I also had to grab the Midnight Cowboy soundtrack, which features Harry Nilsson's hit song Everybody Talking. And obviously they teamed up together to do Nilsson Does Newman, and honestly the songs on this are amazing. There's a song on here about Kansas called the Beehive State, where they actually shout out Topeka, where I'm from. So I was like, yeah, this shit's coming with me. Track 1, side 2, it's about your boy. All right, so
do you love The Point?
Of course, yo. Okay, so Me and My Arrow, classic. The cartoon, amazing. I love Newman. I love Nielsen. Honestly, everything that they touch, I think, is like pretty much legendary. So when I saw these very expensive vinyls, I was like, this got to come with me. I spent $12 on this joint, but it's worth every nickel. Okay, so here I kind of went through a local section. It was actually some of the first stuff that I grabbed. I should probably do like a needle drop when I'm heading out and go actually check out what this music is. But there's a really cool local section here at the Vinyl Underground dedicated to, I guess, gospel music. Some of my very, very favorite things to sample and just a foundational genre for me as a listener is gospel music. So these records immediately pulled me in. Plus I'm on my Donda shit right now too, so it was just like perfect. Local singers. Honestly, I feel like the litmus for a great singer is hair. All these women can sing. All these niggas can sing too. Look, they got perms. This is gonna be fine vinyl. I got this one here from the Kansas City Choral Ensemble. Looks like a different group from the early 60s or something. I love it when they shout out the names too. To be honest, a lot of the draw with these kind of records is the copy, like the fonts and just like the imagery that is used is like a lot of what I just sort of draw from when I make my sort of jank ass artwork. So immediately I was just like, this is me low key. This is me. The aesthetics of this are me. I also grew up in the Baptist church. Some of my very first music playing and singing was in Baptist church. Played the drums. So this is just my shit, y'all. It's my shit. This one it looked even cooler. It's like a white label punk rock style. They just stamped the shit on here like. It's like hard as fuck. Like, is this metal music? Is this ambient? Like
Beatles White Album.
White Album vibes, like gospel choir, nigga, get into it. And they even spelled the shit wrong. You know, I come from gospel music, but I also come from hip hop music. So the perfect merger in my mind is pimps and pastors. I've always been fascinated with these figures, you know what I mean? So the genesis for the song Church was we were watching footage of both R. Kelly and Deion Sanders in the clergy. There's amazing footage of them on YouTube giving like sermons. And so the beginning of Church is actually Deion Sanders, like high on the Lord, high on coke, high on bitches, he high. And we sampled that and it gave us what you hear in that song, which is kind of like a sort of turned up reconfiguration of gospel music. A lot of the same rhythmic elements that you find in hip hop music are flipped upside down because we injected it with the gospel spirit. So yeah, we love gospel. We love gospel. All right, so this one's cool. Really love Bobby Humphries. Honestly, just a couple days ago, I went to a silent film festival and I saw an airing of Peter Pan. And when I saw that movie, one, I was struck by some of what I was seeing because the animated version sort of diminishes some of the subtext in that film, but that's neither here nor there. What I realized, though, is that I've always gravitated to Peter Pan, and Peter Pan carries a fucking flute, man. So the flute as a timbre has always sort of been a fascination for me. I think I've always sort of been into it in all these multitude of different ways. I actually crowdsourced a flute last year because I decided that I wanted to stop just listening to it and start trying to play it. So that brings us to Bobby Humphries. She's an amazing, amazing flautist. She recorded music solo, 2, 3, 4 albums on her own. Her main work, though, you would probably have found her with Stevie Wonder. She's on Intervision. She's on Songs of the Key of Life. She played in his band both on tour and on album. And he might even be on some of these records, low key, just because she was like that clicked up with Stevie. But yeah, Harlem River Drive is on this joint, and I've sampled that a couple times. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, all right, this is my last couple selections. So my next one here. This one's going to be Bob James, Touchdown. I have pretty much every album that this guy has done. I probably even got a copy of this one sitting around. One of my very favorite TV shows when I was a youngster was a show called Taxi. Obviously stars a young man named Andy Kaufman, one of my very, very favorite comedians. Bob James did the theme song for Taxi, Angela. It's on this album. I've always loved his music. It's obviously been sampled. His music has been sampled hundreds and hundreds of times in hundreds and hundreds of hip-hop records. So I saw this and was like, this got to come with me. The Patrick Mahomes joint. I'm trying to think.
Like, is this Jock Jams? Like, or is it just a funny cover?
Well, it's low-key, it's smooth jazz, or fusion jazz. Like, Bob James was a fusion jazz piano player. Like, he played with Miles. In fact, there are some of Miles' players in here, like Ron Carter plays on this record, played with Miles. Dave Sanborn, famous, I think he plays a saxophone. He's on this album. So like a lot of jazz heavy hitters, but this is more like, it's damn near like easy listening or something. It's like, it's not challenging like a lot of jazz music is.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. I got a collection of East African pop music. It's another one where I'm like, I don't know very much about the music, but the iconography, the fonts, just the imagery of this music is pulling out at me. And what I enjoy about going to a record store as opposed to being on like DSPs or on YouTube is that the album art can be a major draw in sort of pulling you into the music. I don't have to be swayed by hype. I can literally just look at the images and see what they're kind of communicating with me and use that to make my own judgment. So later, like I said, I'm going to go and drop some needles and actually like listen to some of these records and see what the fuck's going on. But on cover alone, I know this shit about to be fire. Okay, so here's my last record. I tried to get them to get me this joint for free in honor of Black History Month. This is the famous Blackface Joni Mitchell album, which is greater than the sum of its cover, which is a pretty crazy cover in itself. I mean, you could pick it up on this alone just because you need that, but the music on it contained is amazing. This is obviously during Joni's jazz fusion era. Maybe through this you're finding that low-key I like jazz fusion music. Like, I have spent maybe more time than I should admit listening to jazz fusion. So this here features a lot of Weather Report, which, as they are sort of fusion jazz mammoths on their own, also having played, half of them having played with Miles. They're kind of standing between that modern jazz world and the jazz world of old. Sort of Joni Mitchell decided she was going to like tap in on that for some reason, and the results are spectacular. Like, the music in Hijira, the music on this album is probably some of the best music that you can ever listen to. And I have in my past been called a bass artist, so I guess as an instrument, I will find myself gravitating to the bass. The bass player on this motherfucker is Waco Pastores, one of the most amazing bass players to ever touch a bass, ever, fretless. I think, obviously, he's been sampled a bunch, too. Was that Portraits of Tracy? There's a lot of history wrapped up in this record, and that's why it's coming with me today. I paid $9 for it, and I think it might have been the most expensive joint that I got, and it was worth every cent. I'm Morris. You can find me at, where can you find me? Okay, yeah, I'm Morris. You can find me at morrismakes.com. I'm also on Twitter at pmorris. You can also find me at your girl's house. You can find my music at goombawave.bandcamp.com. You can also find me on Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. And if you need me in the morning in your coffee cup, you can find me at morrismakescoffee.com. And I will be there waiting for you like...
You also got candles and other...
Yeah.
homemade...
Well, you can get the candles at morrismakescandles.com, but I mean, I ain't even told nobody about that. So you heard it here first.
Okay, no, but you also mentioned you went to the Silent Film Festival.
Sure.
We're gonna have so much footage. Fucking, this is all great. But a distant relative of yours was a silent film actor that was in one of... Or director?
Yeah, he was the director.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's like a whole other side piece, but like a distant family member on my mom's side is commonly credited as the very first African-American film producer, director, and writer in America. So he was making his own sort of feature films at the turn of the century. The one that they aired is called... don't edit that out.
What was his name?
His name is Oscar Micheaux. And the film, in a lot of ways, is sort of an answer to D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, which in a lot of ways is sort of the genesis of film. That's where modern film sort of started its beginning. So my niggas saw that film and was just like, that's sort of a bastardization of history. The heroes in that movie are Klansmen. You feel me? And in that film, only thing that black people do is run in and rape white women. So Oscar Micheaux saw that film and was like, hang on. Actually, the whites were running into the plantations and raping these women, creating a lot of the kind of racial and cultural makeup that we see today. When we see artists like Drake who sort of able to navigate both worlds, it's because of the world that Oscar Micheaux comes from, where there's all this kind of back and forth and this tension between black people and white people or whatever. And so when he saw that happening on film, he was like, nah, I'm gonna get a camera, I'm gonna get my papers together, and I'm gonna shoot films. And what made his movies really cool for me to watch is because as a film student, I saw W.D. Griffith's films. And so anytime that they had a black actor, it was actually a white person in blackface. Oscar Micheaux's film, he had throngs of white actors. So this means that these white actors in 1919, 1920 are taking directions from a black director and also taking part in rectifying a wrong in terms of just telling the truth, you know? So that was powerful to me, that he was able to sort of recruit other whites into making these types of films, when on the flip side, D.W. Griffith wasn't able to do that type of thing for obvious reasons, you know? So,
wow.
Yeah. It was the first movie that was shown in the White House, which shows like the impact of it.
And it also like fueled the like revival of
the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, they're like the heroes in that film.
Yeah.
You see Forrest Gump, like that's where Forrest gets his fucking name from. Like, yeah, there's a lot of history there, so it's worth kind of diving into Oscar Micheaux, because in a lot of ways, you know, the American showbiz, all of this comes from that. Like, we had the motion pictures a little bit before we had the album, you know what I mean? Like all of this shit's kind of related. So Oscar Micheaux is sort of at the top of that. And if you look at some of the dialogue that Quentin Tarantino was having around Django Unchained, he oftentimes will cite Oscar Micheaux as sort of a starting point for these types of movies, because, and this is my last point, what Oscar Micheaux called his films were race movies, and I believe that that's what Quentin Tarantino believes that he's making when he makes a movie like Pulp Fiction, when he makes a movie like Jackie Brown, when he makes a movie like Django Unchained. These are actually new-aged race films, so peep that.
Do we know if Oscar was also into feet? No.
I mean, bro, yeah, probably. Because I'm into feet. It runs in the blood.
Yo, shout out to Wilmot also, like doing race films.
Straight up.
I need to watch Confederacy of
Confederate
States of America. Yeah, I need to catch up.
Yeah, me and Wilmot are like kind of tangled. He's from my grandma's hometown. He gave the opening speech to that film yesterday at the film festival. So he actually did a play about it's called T Money and Wolf, and it's drawing a comparison between the Holocaust and the Holocaust that was happening in the streets. African Americans being sort of unfairly pulled into the prison industrial complex. He wrote a play about it and staged it at my high school, and I was the star of that play. I was the star of the senior play, and so me and Kevin Wilmot go way the fuck back.
Do you have pictures from that you could send us?
I got the tape.
Cool.
I got the tape.
Phil's at the intersection of everything cool in Topeka, Kansas.
If it comes out of Topeka and it's cool, I live there. That's my street.
The degrees of separation are like 1 or 2 at every cool Topeka thing.
Damn right. Yeah. I need that on film.
That's why you're here, and that's why we have a football record.